Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Big news in the college football world. Feeling oh so familiar. Alabama gets into the college playoff. And again, the storyline is Florida State with the perfect season getting snubbed for Alabama that went 12-1 but beat Georgia in the SEC championship, leaping over them. And it's funny, last night I was having dinner with my dad, and we were talking about my dad's a big sports guy. And he's saying, "Oh, no, no, no! They said that they're not going to let Alabama in or Georgia in after that game." What I was listening to, and as long as Florida State wins tonight, they should get in there. And then while while I was there eating dinner with them, the commercial came on, the Aflac ad, and I said, "They've been playing this ad all year, right? With Deion Sanders, who went to Florida State, and Nick Saban." And I said, just remember, if Alabama gets in there tomorrow, they've been playing this ad all year. Deion Sanders, the Florida State alumni, with Nick Saban, dressed up in that Aflac blue. And you guys know where Aflac, the company, was founded? You'd never guess it was founded in Georgia, where Alabama upset yesterday. And recall, a few weeks back, we talked about how it was interesting there were no NBA games today. No NBA games on a Sunday. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. I'm trying to remember when this happened last. But no NBA games on this Sunday. And what's interesting about this Sunday, remember January 26, 2020, tragic day, NBA star Kobe Bryant, dead at age 41 while traveling from Catholic Mass to his daughter's basketball tournament. We talked about what was interesting about Kobe dying on the anniversary of Bear Bryant, the Alabama great football coach, who Nick Saban recently passed in championships. But Nick Saban died January 26th, 83. Kobe died January 26th, 2020. And it's very significant that he died on the 37th anniversary. If you guys have not read my last book, which came out in 2020, the year of Kobe's death, Number Games, there's a huge chapter on Kobe's death and Bear Bryant and Nick Saban and the bigger picture. But in that book, we talk about how important the number 201 is, the number of the Illuminati, the number of the Jesuit order. And of course, in history, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. Today is exactly 201 weeks after Kobe's death. He died on a Sunday. It's 201 weeks later, from January 26, 2020 to December 3rd, 2023. Again, 201 weeks. And notice the numbers on the screen. If you're new here, gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. There's an important cipher known as Jewish gematria or Latin gematria or Agrippa's key. But this cipher, the word Alabama has a numerical value of 56, and the letters UA for University of Alabama equal 201. And these numbers are super important. Remember, in history, there was the Event 201 pandemic simulation that happened October 18th, 2019, the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. And then 56 days from that event was the first confirmed case of the virus that was simulated in the pandemic. And of course, that was coronavirus. And of course, coronavirus also equals 56. But again, it was event 201 and 56 days later. And as we've talked about, in English gematria, the word light is 56. And in Hebrew gematria, the word light is 201. So these numbers have a relationship and they get paired together in rituals. And again, Kobe dies on Bear Bryant's anniversary, the Alabama great, who Nick Saban's also been doing rituals with. Then they bury Kobe in Corona Del Mar, which equals 56, like coronavirus. And then they declare the pandemic for coronavirus the same day they locked down the NBA, March 11th, 2020, which was 201 days after Kobe's last birthday. And of course, the film Angel Has Fallen came out on Kobe's last birthday, and he died in the city of Angels, falling from the sky in a helicopter, at least so we're told, plus a million other things that we've covered. But the numbers 56 and 201 have always been at the heart of the story. So it's 201 weeks later. Where's the 56 piece? Well, the 56 piece is with Deion Sanders, who's 56 years old right now. And again, he's the alumni of Florida State. And we'll get to what the Aflac building has to do with 56. But Dion, born August 9th, 67, 56 years old. And you might recall back in 2014, that was the day of the Michael Brown killing just outside of the Jesuit University, St. Louis University in Ferguson. And you might recall how important the numbers 56 and 201 were to the Michael Brown killing, which was on Deion Sanders' birthday that year. And then you might recall how those rituals with Black Lives Matter transitioned to the NFL and how we were able to project future Super Bowls off of it. Anyhow, let's go over all of this from top to bottom and understand how big and planned out this ritual is and how scripted it is. And once again, we're talking about scripted football synced up through insurance advertisements. Earlier this year, we were talking about how State Farm in Gematria equals 103, and Mahomes, who does the State Farm ads, wins the Super Bowl in State Farm Arena, coming into that game 10-3 in the playoffs, like 103. The beginning of this year with March Madness, we talked about how they took down the Nets for UConn in the first game of the tournament, with the game stopped at 84 points in the 84th tournament. And then the UConn coach went on to win the tournament and became 8-4, and his father's Jesuit educated. But you might recall a huge part of the UConn ritual was not only the taking down of the Nets, because supposedly there was a snag while there were 84 points on the board, but you might recall the Hashim to beat jersey Coca-Cola ad they kept showing the whole tournament with the to beat jersey. Hashim to beat in Gematria is 120. It was UConn's 120th season. And if you doubt what I'm saying, go back and look. It's all facts. And add up the UConn score differentials as they won the tournament. If you add up every game they played, they ended up scoring plus 120, meaning 120 more points than their opponents in their 120th season, winning the tournament in the 84 ritual, but also foreshadowed through the Hashim to beat jersey ad that they kept showing through the whole tournament over and over. So again, just rinse and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat. Hey, can you even see how those ads there? It shows 3 of the ads at 31 seconds. For the record, Alabama in Gematria is 31. Aflac is also 31. Alabama and Aflac. And if you're saying, but wait a minute, Alabama was just 56, there are multiple ciphers, but they're all part of a system and they're all interrelated. And again, this is Latin Gematria or Jewish Gematria or Agrippa's key. If you just take the alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, Alabama equals 31. Number we talk about with Alabama year after year. Back when Henry won the Heisman and then Alabama won the championship 31 days later, if you remember that season, and a million other times. Trump coming out on the 3rd day of the first month before Alabama beat Georgia. When Saban tied Bear Bryant, Trump announced he was cheering for Alabama and he was going to the game. But okay. All right, let's make sure we got down each piece. So Kobe and Bear Bryant, again, both dead on January 26th, dead 37 years apart. And again, I've been working on a bunch of versions of a Kobe book, so I've written and rewritten the same information a million times. But again, if you're new here, the base system, and I learned about this system from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. He reveals there's a numerical code behind the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. Just using the alphabetic order. The alphabetic order with numerology. Also the reverse alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You see how with numerology, Bryant is 26 and reverse Bryant is 37? Think about it. Kobe died on the 26th day of the year, the anniversary of Bear Bryant, and the 37th anniversary. And notice how Los Angeles is also 37. He died in LA, the city of angels. Notice how Kobe Bryant's 41, his age of death. He died while traveling from Catholic Mass on the Pope's 41st day of his age. When the calendar we're on, the Gregorian calendar is named after the Pope. But notice how Kobe Bryant's also 157. 157 is the 37th prime number, and Kobe died on the 157th day of his own age at age 41. Today's ritual with Alabama being named the champion, today has 58 date numerology. But you see, Alabama, like we were just saying, is 31. Alabama's 31. In the Jewish cipher, Aflac is 31. Aflac's also 23. Like, oh, actually, you know what? I realized Aflac's 31 multiple ways. So in Jewish Gematria, Aflac is 31. Same cipher we started with, where UA is 201 and Alabama's 56. But when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, Aflac's also 31. So again, You just pay attention, you see this is what they're doing year after year. And again, UA and that cipher is 201 and Alabama's 56. And for example, Black Lives Matter, which came out of, again, Dion has that August 9th birthday, the day of the Black Lives Matter becoming a big thing after the Michael Brown killing, where Black Lives Matter is 56, Michael Brown is 201. And recall George Perry Floyd, right? That's the full name of George Floyd, which was a massive 201 ritual. And then Black Lives Matter got bigger than ever because it was like a spell was cast on America. First, they were putting this bad state, Kobe's death weighing on their conscience. Now they're on lockdown. Everything's shut down. The sports aren't going. They can't go to their job. There's uncertainty. They don't have money to pay the bills. All this stuff just coming down on the American people. They're making it seem like you could die from a zombie apocalypse from this killer virus from China. Remember, this is the mood then. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? You can go outside to burn your city down in the name of George Floyd. Remember that? And just 1,056 rituals. But again, it was the virus, coronavirus 56. It was the jab, the name of the jab 56. Remember the first vaccinated person in the world, Maggie Keenan 56. Captain Tom of the Burma campaign dies from COVID. Big headline at the start, 56 days after Maggie Keenan. Gavin Newsom, the first governor to lock down his state, says 56% of people will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Jesuit governor. Again, the Society of Jesus, 56, right? We're going to get into why this 56 is so important again. But the 56 was everywhere in the time of the pandemic. Anthony Fauci, 56, Jesuit educated, the face of the pandemic. Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York, Jesuit educated, went to Fordham like Donald Trump, whose Jesuit education began in 64. That's Donald Trump, who was the president at the time. 64 was 56 years before 2020. Again, just the same stuff over and over. So this year with 56-year-old Deion Sanders, this mega ritual to get Alabama, the oh-so-familiar college football team, back at a shot at the big game. And here, the other part about 56, occultism. We were just talking about this the other day with the death of Aleister Crowley. Well, we're talking about Aleister Crowley all the time. They did a huge tribute to him in the NFL week that began on his birthday. They've done a huge tribute to him this week because December 1st was his death anniversary. Sandra Day O'Connor dead at 93 on his death anniversary when he created the occult religion Thelema that worships 93. So far, every team that can become 9-3 in the NFL so far this week has. And anyhow, occultism has that gematria 56. The word cult is in it. Cult's another big 56. Freemasonry, the plural Freemasons, is 56. Again, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. Their formal title is the Society of Jesus, 56. A Jesuit founded the Illuminati. Their symbol's the all-seeing eye, which is also used by the Masons, 56. Again, it's all biblical, and it's all based in Genesis and the Torah, which is the basis of the Abrahamic religions, another 56. The word light is 56. The word three, spelled out T-H-R-E-E, is 56, like there's three Abrahamic religions. Genesis 1:3, God makes light. Light, again, 56. And again, in Hebrew, the word light has a 201 connection. Light is knowledge to the occult. Knowledge is power. The phrase is also 201. So again, 56, 201. Mega rituals over and over. If I forgot to say so, again, Kobe just buried in Corona Del Mar, which was another 56. At the same time, coronavirus is jumping off. And again, Kobe's production studio, you look it up, it's called Granity Studios, 201. Again, from his last birthday to COVID being declared on 3/11, 201 days. The number 311 has a relationship with 201 because 201 is 311 in base 8 counting. Anyhow. And just with all the scripted rituals with Brady that we used to document, did you know that Tom Brady's dad is a mega billionaire in the insurance industry? If you didn't know that, look that up about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, born 201 years after the Illuminati, 201 years after the United States of America. Again, if you're new here, Order of Illuminati, what Adam Weishaupt officially titled it, 201. Also 93, which goes right with the whole Crowley thing. But again, the Jesuit order, Big 201, and just long history back to their beginning. Ignatius of Loyola, 201, founded the Jesuit order 201 months after the Protestant Reformation began, which was their original mission to stop. And just again, there's an endless list of examples. It's just like, where do you stop? But anyway, I want to make this point too about when Bear Bryant died in relation to how old Kobe was. Kobe was born in 78, and Kobe was born on August, what's wrong with me? August 23rd. Kobe born on August 23rd, 1978. So he was 4 years old when Kobe died. Or not when Kobe, when Bear Bryant died. He was 4. And remember, in 83, that was the year the Philadelphia 76ers won the championship. And they did it with, oh my God, what is wrong with me right now? Why can I not think of Mr. Moses' name? Oh my God. My brain is having some kind of collapse right now. Moses Malone. Oh my God. Moses Malone, who said faux, faux, faux. And again, in in Exodus, the second book of the Bible, Exodus 4, you get the story of Moses having his staff turned into a snake, Kobe the Black Mamba. LeBron passes Kobe in points scored the day before Kobe's death. Kobe falls to 4th all time when LeBron King James passes him. King James, the real one, had a Bible named after him. It's all biblical. Moses Malone was doing the ad for Nike with Moses with the staff in 82, the year that Kobe turned 4. That's the year that ad came out for Nike. And then remember, Nike did the Kobe Bryant after death shoe right after he retired. And then he dies the season they get AD on the Lakers, like after death. But the thing about all of that going down in 83 and then Kobe dying at age 41 while traveling from Catholic Mass on the Pope's 41st day of his age, the Pope was 83 years old at the time, right? And the cause of death was a helicopter crash, which is also 83. You see? Also 83. And if you're new here, the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83 and Murder's 83. And on the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, they code those numbers. If you want to take a look at that. If you want to look up the song Murder by Numbers by The Police, the same band that sung the song Every Breath You Take, Every Step You Take, I'll Be Watching You. Think about that song now in the surveillance age. But these are mega rituals planned out so long in advance. And with regards to the 4th thing in Kobe and Moses Malone died in 2016, 213 days before Kobe's last game, playing for LA in the 2-1-3. Of course, the Rams would win the Super Bowl on 2-1-3, the year of Super Bowl 56, when they got Odell Beckham, whose birthday is on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year, from Cleveland, the original home of the Rams. It also goes back with LeBron and other things going on, and Ohio being the birthplace of football. And remember, don't forget how they had that Super Bowl for the Rams on 2-1-3 synced up with the other Beckham who plays the other football. Bend it like Beckham. You know, just like how the other week Andy Reid tied Hank Stram with his 124th win with the Chiefs, 124 days after the Hank Stram death anniversary. And again, they did it in that German stadium where the football team that plays there is 124 years old. And Norma Hunt equals 124, who died this year on 6-4, where Kansas City Chiefs is 64. So again, I just throw these things in there to remind that it's not just this example. There's a million other examples. And again, it's understanding why they do it. Gematria, there's numbers behind words. So then people become rituals for the numbers that pertain to words that relates to these people's lives. Bear Bryant dead in 83. Football guy, right? Football, 83. Kobe dead in 2020. Now, the thing about the year 2020 is, in numerology, zeros are like null values. So you have a 2-2. Basketball is 22. You see how basketball is 85 and 22, just like Boston's 85 and 22? Remember, Boston in the 2022 NBA Finals lost to Golden State, and they fell to 17-5. And if you go back and look, Pope Francis is 175, Catholic Pope. Boston, very Catholic, like Celtics. But if you go back and look, again, that season on the Pope's birthday, December 17th, before the Celtics lost to the Warriors, the Celtics lost to the Warriors on the Pope's birthday. and became 7-5 at home. Well, 7-5 for the season, losing at home. And then the Warriors would win in Boston, and the Warriors picked up their 75th all-time postseason win, winning that game with the big 75 on their court that year for the 75th anniversary season. So, again, everything that we're talking about, the reason the rituals are constantly synced with the Pope is because that's whose world we're living in. We're on the Catholic Church's calendar. The oldest English script goes back to a Catholic monk. As they say, all roads lead to Rome. The Roman Colosseum was to distract the populace from, what they were ruled over by. It was to keep the people content enough to keep paying their taxes and going about what the rulers wanted them to do. And I don't know how people don't see the parallels to today. Again, you're told you're free your whole life when you know you're not. From a young age, you were made to go to school and learn what they wanted to teach you, which is indoctrination. You do learn some things that are helpful. If you have, critical thinking skills and the ability to not be steered with the herd, which are rare traits, you can actually do all right out of the education system. But most people can't because they just always go with the herd. That's why they all become guinea pigs for Pfizer and put yellow ribbons on their car and don't look into anything and just believe what the authorities keep telling them. But this is no accident that this happens on this day. And I just wonder what else is going on behind closed doors today with no NBA games going on, and just knowing that high rituals going on with these people, and the people come out and smile to us on camera, and we know we're stars. Again, these are the same people who would come out and be the real heroes and spill the beans on what they know is going on in these entertainment industries. I think none of them speak out because they don't want to be the next, premature headline, if you know what I mean. There is so much death in the world of celebrity, and there's so much obvious ritualism to it. And it's just, these people are just spitting in our face, playing this ad all year, and then Alabama snubs Florida State. Maybe they think they can get away with it because most people have forgotten that Deion Sanders played at Florida State. When I said that to my dad last night, he'd forgotten. He's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Deion Sanders did go to Florida State. So I know my dad's seen it today. Now he'll have it. When I see him next time, he'll have a grin on his face. Oh, yeah. So here's the other big clincher. Even the name of this building where Aflac's headquartered, with Deion Sanders being 56, look, they just call it the Aflac building. Aflac building, 56, right? The number. Black Lives Matter, 56. A lot of rituals with black celebrities in 56. And even when they painted that on the streets of Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C.'s 56. They painted Black Lives Matter on Church Street on the 5th day of the 6th month, which was the anniversary of Ronald Reagan's death, which is another 56, which just goes with a long line of 56s that go back to the federal government, which is the Masonic city. And again, Freemasons, the plural's 56, and all the American sports accredited Freemasons. And again, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation, which goes back to the church. And that's why the Catholic Church is constantly, like, they just had a headline about a month or so ago that, again, the Catholic Church is reminding people that you can't be Catholic and a Freemason. It's like, okay, that's the public perception that goes in the papers, but you really follow the history of it. Okay, Jesuits who serve the Catholic Church and the Pope are responsible for modern Freemasonry. Again, that's what they're not publishing in the paper. So, but yeah, here's the other big clincher. This company just turned 68 years old, right? Aflac just turned 68 on November 17th. And it's perfect that it's established on November 17th in Georgia, because Georgia's the big 44 state, and that's the day leaving 44 days left in the year. And the other year, it was the big 201 death ritual with young Dolph and the shooting on that day, synced up with the death of MLK, also in Memphis on 4/4. But anyway, Aflac, the Georgia company, established on the day leaving 44 days left in the year. They just turned 68. Well, today, the day that Alabama's announced in, is the 337th day of the year, which is the 68th prime number. And 68 is a special number. Remember, if you're new here, like everything that matters about, I'll get to everything about 1968, but look at this first. Mathematics has Gematria 68, right? Solar system has Gematria 68. Catholicism has Gematria 68. Helios has Gematria of 68. Okay? It also has heliocentrism, also has Gematria 201. And Helios is the root word of heliocentrism. Helios is the Greek word for the sun. And heliocentrism is the model that was agreed to in the 16th century that said the sun is at the center of everything that we see moving about. We're all moving around the sun. So that idea was established as official in the 16th century, which is the same century the Jesuits were created in, the same century the Gregorian calendar unleashed, the same century English was standardized as a 26-letter alphabet. 16th century, so important. And again, it was the Jesuits created, and then all those things followed it. And so anyhow, 68, mathematics, solar system, Catholicism. Here, forgot it one. Basketball, another 68. Now, that's why they have the March Madness tournament up to 68. You see how basketball is also 85, like how the first March Madness, when they used that branding, was in the 85 season. And the Catholic school beat the Jesuit school, Villanova over Georgetown. Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is another 85. But yes, this ritual, it comes together through a basketball star on a Sunday, the most Catholic day of the week. Alabama, again, abbreviated UA for University of Alabama. Just flip it around. The reflection of that is AU, which is also 201. And AU is the abbreviation for gold. And in alchemy, the sun is gold. So just think about that too in light of this mega ritual, it all being about money. Deion Sanders with his song back in the day, Must Be the Money. Him and Nick Saban laughing their asses off in these ads. And again, I mean, they're staying on top from this. Deion Sanders, he's lived quite the life. He's been a prime time for a long time. And this year at age 56, the most significant he's been since he's been a star athlete. And it ends in a mega ritual that's not beneficial to him, but beneficial to Nick Saban. And again, that's reflective of what we've been exposing the whole time too, just the whitewashing of history, having a Bible given to us where there's only one verse about Jesus' description, and it describes him with darker skin and hair like wool. And again, if you're new here, the Holy Bible's 201. And remember, Tupac died on Caesar Borgia's birthday, where white Jesus came from. But this 201 number, the Holy Bible 201, the Jesuit Order 201, and a million other things that pertain. And again, just this ritual coming together on a Sunday, right? Sunday, how it all fits. Kobe. Remember there was that picture put out after Kobe and his daughter died, and it was like him holding her up as she's like dunking on the hoop with the sun. They're like kind of look like a shadow because the way the sunlight is on them. Kobe also gone on a Sunday. So, and don't forget, Kobe died 201 days before Magic Johnson's birthday. And then the Lakers won their 4th championship in Orlando, the Magic, where Kobe got his 4th championship over. And yeah. So we'll see if it's familiar patterns in the college playoff, because the same old lined up again, but we'll have to take a deeper look at it. And here, I'll tell you another good ritual they just did. Let me pull up Basketball Reference here. I don't believe the Spurs played yesterday, but they definitely played December 1st. I'm going to pull up Greg Popovich, senior coach. I want you to see this ritual they did with him. So yeah, you see how he's on 777 regular season losses? This is Greg Popovich. Became the head coach of the Spurs in the 96-97 season. Same year Kobe came in the NBA. Kobe's debut on November 3rd, where Kobe Bryant's 113, like the National Basketball Association, like Michael Jordan, whose career emulated him. But Popovich got his 777th regular season loss, and he just got it on December 1st, right? And I want you to, and he got it against New Orleans, which is the most occult city in America. So this is going to be I'm going to bring this back to Kobe. I'm going to bring this back to Kobe and his death. But Aleister Crowley died December 1st, 47. Again, he created Thelema, which worships 93. On his death anniversary, we just saw Sandra Day O'Connor die at age 93. And notice Greg Popovich, he's 74 years old right now, right? He's 74 years old, just got his 777th loss on Aleister Crowley's death anniversary. And Aleister Crowley has a book titled 777. It's one of his most well-known texts, 777 and Other Kabbalistic Writings of Aleister Crowley. Now, with regards to his religion, Thelema being 93, we've been documenting over the years so many rituals they've done with the Spurs in 93. So the Spurs are like the most well, there's another team that really loves 93. And actually all right. Anyway, Spurs, one of the most 93 teams in sports. Thelema 93. You have to say, what are the odds that organically Greg Popovich would just end up getting his 777th loss on that day? Now, again, he's 74 years old. Aleister Crowley is known as one of the most famous occultists. And again, just with the most simple cipher, occult is 74, like gematria is 74, like English is 74, like energy's 74. London, of course, is 74. You think English, you think London. The word killing is 74. Remember the killing of Caesar? We have the Ides of March on March 15th, the 74th day of the year. Killing 74 like stabbing. Kobe, again, died in the 74th NBA season. Moses Malone, his death was paralleled to. Moses Malone was drafted in 74 by Utah, who Kobe finished his career against. And Utah is associated with Mormonism, and Mormonism is highly associated with Masonry, so it also traces back to the secret societies. It's also connected to white supremacy, the Utah, the Mormonism. And I know the Mormons don't want to be called Mormons anymore, and they want to move away from that legacy, and they're trying to be better about all that too, more inclusive. But historically, Mormonism is racist because one of the tenets of the race of the religion is that the closer you are to God, the whiter your skin is. So think about what that spiritual belief that some people think is the truth, what that does for humanity. The whiter your skin is, the closer to God you are. Okay, what's that say about a dark black person then? He's the furthest away from God because of the color of his skin, which is just total bullshit. But there's a reason also Utah is involved in these rituals. And there's a reason that the Utah Jazz, remember, Utah Jazz is the only full 113 team. The only city that has a 113 connection is Dallas. And again, the NBA was locked down on the 11th day of the third month, the day of the COVID pandemic declaration. And they let Dallas finish their game that day, and they scored 113 points. Just look up their box score. Here. Dallas Mavericks box score, March 11th, 2020. Dallas beat Denver 113-97. But again, coronavirus pandemic is 113. The National Basketball Association's 113. Kobe Bryant again is 113. So is Michael Jordan. Kobe's debut on November 3rd. This year, November 3rd, they had Jordan's hometown Brooklyn playing Chicago. And then on the other 113 date, they had Brooklyn playing the Wizards, not the Wizards, the Hornets, the only 2-all-1 team in the league who Jordan had to give up this year, supposedly because he had bad gambling debts. Had to sell the team after 13 seasons. Like, again, Kobe, the 13th pick, like the Illuminati with the 2-all-1 connection, founded with 13 families. And with regards to 13 and the Illuminati and 2-all-1, I should make that point about Alabama today, too. Alabama, big 13. And, yeah, sometimes at 13, it hasn't hurt us many times just over the years with Alabama. But it did make us think that Georgia did have a good shot to pick up the 13th win over Alabama. Now Alabama has a chance to get their 13th win in their next game. You know what consistent pattern hit nicely, though, for us in this little college championship weekend? Ducks 13, Washington 130. Washington, 10-point dog to the Ducks, became 13-0 versus them. And it reminds us of, you see how Washington's 130 forwards, 140 in reverse? Go back and look at the day that Pete Carroll got his 130th regular season win and 140th all-time win when you include the postseason. He got it on 11/11, Washington State's birthday, as a major underdog. Seahawks paid out about 3-1 that night in that game. It wasn't the best Seahawk period when they got that big upset over the Niners. But, yeah, the knowledge to see definitively how the game is rigged. And again, with regards to Illuminati and 13 and controlling people, how do they do it? They control us with money, right? Just like Dion's song, Must Be the Money. Dollar bill with the 13 symbolism all over it. Think about what insurance companies are. Think about how it works, you guys. Again, go back, if you don't know these things, look into the letters written by the founders. George Washington was worried about the Illuminati. Jefferson and Adams were worried about the Jesuits coming out of suppression. Again, they're pretty much one and the same thing. The Jesuits created the Illuminati in the time of their suppression. but they were worried that they would infiltrate and essentially hijack what was being built. And imagine that that did happen. Imagine that their fears did happen. And again, why else did the nation's capital move from Philly to DC when Washington, DC is where the Jesuits set up camp? That's why Georgetown, the first Jesuit university, is there. But with regards to, again, imagine hijacking and then building the world that we now live in, where things are mandated, that are like bills every month, like insurance. Think about all the people in the world just paying insurance because they have to, right? Because they have to. I mean, if you lived in a world with freedom, you wouldn't have to pay insurance. You know, you might not want to drive or be in that world because there's so many crazy, inconsiderate people. But at the same time, you just don't know how the world would be if there wasn't mandatory insurance. Um, I've only hit one vehicle in my entire year of driving, and it was highly avoidable, but it was also really rare circumstances, and I didn't hit them hard. I left like barely a nick on their bumper. It was like really minor. I've just always been a careful driver. So again, people say you want insurance because you just never know when something crazy is going to happen, and somebody might sue you for millions of dollars. And insurance will save your life. So everyone has insurance for these reasons, but it's also mandated. And most of us, like the point is, for all of my life, I've been paying insurance, and I haven't really had to use it much. But I paid so much money into this insurance system, and that's true for a lot of people. And maybe in a different world, we'd be like, you know what? I'm a really safe driver. I'm going to just take my chances rather than pay all this money insurance. Anyway, the point I'm making is this world's been built around us with the rules, and you just see how it is. These companies that just suck up all this wealth. I mean, just imagine what it is to be these companies like Aflac, State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, Geico. I mean, these people have, just imagine the cash flow they have coming in every month. It's insane. It's like a handful of corporations that are sucking up money from everybody, right? And you just see how this thing that's been built around us, this fascist state that it really is, where there's been a lot of corporation or cooperation with government and corporation, these wealthy entities, they're having a huge laugh at our expense every day. You know, we're going to school for 13 years and we're not reading the fine print in the textbook and realizing that it's these same mega corporations that are responsible for the information in our textbook. We've like been raised to be these perfect little citizens that just march along to the drum of tyranny. And by the way, we got to think more about the ways we're manipulated, just like music, how music can really manipulate your behavior. How many of you guys like to work out if music's playing, but if there's no music, you find it hard to work out? I think it's the same reason, like for all of history, there's been, you know, like the marching drummer, beating the war drum just to keep people amped up to go into battle. Without the music, they're not meeting the task. But all of these things are used to move people in a certain way. And anyway, I don't know if I'm communicating any of this clearly right now, but again, there are people ruling above us who have more knowledge, uh, occult knowledge, all knowledge, period, and understand human psychology, and they're just master manipulators. And essentially, what we see unfolding in the world day after day is just mass manipulation after mass manipulation. And this story right here will trigger a lot of people today. There are people that are just sick of Alabama, and Alabama just being this constant dominant thing in college football. And they're going, oh my God, I heard just like my dad, he heard the announcer say that if Alabama beat Georgia, they probably weren't going to let either of them in. I say to my dad, I was like, I don't know about that. You know, Alabama's got a 13th game to win. But yeah, again, it was there all year, just playing the ad all year. And now you see the ritual. And again, it comes exactly 201 weeks. You know, there's even something to there's something to Dion being in Colorado, because we talked about when Kobe died, how he died exactly 38 weeks after his wife's birthday, and of course Colorado's the 38th state, and there's a gazillion rituals with Colorado in 38. And with regard to Colorado in 83, again, let me pull this up with Deion Sanders and his son. Deion Lewin Sanders, full name is 83. And then his, what's it? I still haven't learned how to say his son's name. His son SS, whose name I can't pronounce, also 83. You know, just like Colorado in football. And remember the other year their stadium caught on fire, the Broncos stadium. on March 24th, which is Peyton Manning's birthday, the 83rd day of the year. And then Colorado's also 38. When Russell Wilson beat Colorado in the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, it was the Seahawks' 38th season. And then he went to Colorado on March 8th. And then that year, the Broncos started the year 3-8, becoming 3-8 against the Panthers, who lost in Super Bowl 38. And goes with the Broncos beating the Panthers on the 38th day of the year in Super Bowl 50. The golden anniversary, where gold's also 38, and it was hosted by the 49ers, named after the gold rush. And, of course, San Francisco's the 50 city for number 50, and we saw that one coming in October. Super Bowl MVP Von Miller, wearing number 58, as Cam Newton drafted one pick ahead of him, became the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. And, again, Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party, where all their original meetings were in Bay Area Catholic churches. But you see how Huey P. Newton's 58. Cam Newton with the Panthers became the 58th QB to start in a Super Bowl. See how Huey P. Newton's 131-41. So is Super Bowl 131-41. Cam Newton's birthday is May 11th, the 131st day of the year. Cam Newton was born on that day in 89. Huey P. Newton died in 89 on August 22nd, the day leaving 131 days left in the year. Then all those years later, as there's all this focus on race and police shootings and post-Michael Brown, you got the Huey P. Newton Tribute Super Bowl. October, we said. Broncos, white Bronco, like OJ with the white Bronco chase, another big race thing. Don't forget they found the OJ Simpson crime scene on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. The movie Naked Gun 33 1/3 had just come out, and OJ was in that. Anyway, it just... Don't forget the massive 201 mass shooting ritual in Vegas that happened later the same day that they let O.J. Simpson out of jail down there. It just goes on and on, you guys. Jason Aldean, remember the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day leaving 201 days left, or excuse me, on the day leaving 91 days left in the year, but Jason Aldean was performing 201. What is it? The Las Vegas Strip is 201. The ritual they just did with the Mavericks and getting taken over by the casino family, the Adelsons, who are big in Israel. You know, the Lone Star flag. And then the next day, LeBron's manager, Maverick Carter's in trouble as Jimmy Carter's about to die and his wife just kicked the bucket for illegal gambling. Again, all this stuff, you guys, high ritual. Lorenzen Wright, 201 days after LeBron's birthday, high ritual. Yeah. Affleck. Here, I'll show you another good one. I'll show you one more good one. This is one to remember. The body is the temple. You've heard that phrase before, right? The body is the temple. We're going to come back to that. But Nick Saban, you see this win he got yesterday? So after beating Georgia, he got his 206th win. 206th win with Alabama yesterday, okay? Now, there's 206 bones in the body, right? And they say the body is the temple. Masonic temple has this gematria 206, okay? 206 bones in the body. And there's a lot more that's interesting to that number. But yesterday's game, Mercedes-Benz, for the record, is 56. It was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Georgia where Affleck is. But Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 206. And we've seen the mega ritual with 307 there. When Brady won the Super Bowl there, he got his 307th career win. And there was a lot more to it that it's escaping my mind right now. Remember, Saban got his 6th championship at age 66 in that building in Georgia. And then Bill Belichick did the same thing. 6th championship at age 66. And they used to coach together in the NFL in Ohio. But Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 206. Saban upsets Georgia. Huge ritual. And yeah, again, you would think that like sports news networks would want to share this news and all the rest of the news we've been breaking for the last decade. It should just show you that it's all fake, man. I don't know. Everyone wants to keep listening to the fake. The way it works is the fake are the things controlled by the money. The money wants to steer the populace into a society of pretty much brain dead zombies that just march into these stadiums and pay way too much for the food and the beer and watch the rig competition and then let it ruin or excite their week and rinse and repeat. That's why they keep showing you stuff that makes people do that. They don't want people looking at what we're showing over here: the ritualistic deaths, the murders, the rigging, the scamming. Think about everyone involved in the scam. The companies involved in the scam, the schools involved in the scam. Isn't this the world that we're like being raised to? Go to school, get a good job at Aflac, be the manager at Aflac. Good for you, little Johnny. You got the full ride to Alabama, and now you got the job at Aflac. You're doing great. You know, buy a lot of presents for Christmas. That's the world they want. That's the world people are marching along to. But those same people are also popping more and more pills in their mouth, anti-anxiety, antidepressant, all this crap, diabetes meds. Imagine if the average American spent as much time taking care of their own body as they spent watching other adults play games. They wouldn't all be, obese with all this illness. It's just, that's the other part of understanding this is just to see how corrupt the nation we live in is, how bankrupt it is. And again, it shouldn't take gematria to see this. I largely understood these things as a young person. I remember arguing with my college professor, about the legitimacy of things we're learning because of who the book is published by and who's behind the publishing companies. It's like, aren't these things that, like, if you're reading a science book that tells you that GMO foods are no different than organic foods in terms of human health, but then you also find that the money behind the book is the same food industry that's pumping out GMO foods because it's more cost effective. Again, they make a lot more profit, and then they'll pay for some science research study that makes it seem like everything's equal. But is it really? I mean, it's not exactly natural. It's been genetically modified so that if a bug even nibbles on it, it just, the bug doesn't want it or the bug dies. It's like, okay, so that's a component of the food, but it doesn't have an impact on human health, but it can. This is the kind of stuff we've been told. But then you look, and as time goes on, just more and more people are sick and ill, and SIDS and sudden infant death syndrome, and way more cancer in younger people, younger and younger. And it's like, well, we don't know what's going on. I mean, we went to school and our science book said that it couldn't possibly be this, or this, but they don't know what it is. It's like, okay, well, how come, before everybody was going to college and back once upon a time when people were just growing their own food and it just food, they didn't use the word organic because that's all food was organic. This wasn't happening. I mean, it just seems logical. It's like, okay, go back to that period of time. But then people don't want to go back. They're like, I don't want to go back to that. I want to live in the world of virtual headsets and wireless audio and streaming and entertainment and explosions here and it's like, well, humanity's got to choose, man. This world they've built around us that sucks us in, does it seem like it's good for us? Or does it seem like humanity's on a bad path? While these guys like die laughing into the camera doing the ad. And don't forget, with the college and NFL, Deion Sanders started the year perfect, right? And again, just the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I'm going to remind you exactly how they did it. Black Lives Matter, 56, well, he's 56, but the word black alone is 11. And his former NFL teams began the year 11-0. As soon as he lost his first game with Colorado State, all his NFL teams lost the remaining games that week. And then they fell to there were 4 remaining teams that had to play that week, and they all fell to his record. It went from 11, his former NFL teams going from 11-0 perfect became 11-4, all after he got his first loss as a college coach. Okay, so yeah, I think those are a lot of the main points. Of course, there could always be more because there always is more, but. Here, I'll just because I found this out the other day, and I'll share it one more time. If I don't share something enough, I eventually forget about it. But I was just doing some new research on Aleister Crowley, and I learned about his right-hand man that I'd never read about before, Francis Israel Regardi, and he changed the spelling of his surname. And look, with the changed spelling of his surname, it became 201. And again, Aleister Crowley wrote the books about English and gematria. So you know that his right hand man's aware of the knowledge. But if you missed what we were saying about Crowley and his death right before the formation of Israel, which is another big 201 project, you should check that out. And actually, here also, if you have Netflix, um, they put out this show recently. It's been one of the top streaming things on there for a while now, but it's called The Killer. You see how it came out on 9/3? If you watch The Killer, the beginning, it's about an assassin in the very beginning of the film. You only have to watch the beginning. It begins with him giving a dialogue of his world outlook and his philosophies and the things he believes in. And essentially, he's explaining why he thinks he's justified in killing people for money. He quotes Aleister Crowley, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," but he can't remember who said it. He says, "I forget who said that." Now, just think about how Hollywood's kind of mocking the audience. And again, what this movie really is because, again, you have to understand Hollywood's run by the same people that run your sports leagues, your government, the same Illuminati is controlling all this stuff. That's why it's all so perfectly synced up. But The Killer, 9/3, it released this year, just before the war popped off in Israel. And remember, Israel was drawn up on September 3rd, 47, right before Aleister Crowley's death, December 1st, 47. And then eventually the first prime minister of Israel would die on December 1st as well. It's a fateful day. But Israel is a killer nation. It's been at war almost nonstop, just like the US, which was created by the same Jesuit Illuminati forces as Israel was. And the point I'm making is it's no accident that Hollywood put out this movie on that date in light of everything, especially as the NFL's paying tribute to Crowley in bigger ways than normal this year. And that's because of the way the dates fell. Crowley's birthday in October, it was Thursday Night Football. And the Broncos were playing that night. I have to go back and look at the full ritual, but Ozzy Osbourne, who's another 201, Ozzy Osbourne equals 201. He has the song about Aleister Crowley, and he began recording that song on 3/22, like the founder of the Illuminati died on the 322nd day of the year, 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. But anyway, on Crowley's birthday, it was obvious why the Broncos were playing because the Ozzy Osbourne song is about Mr. Crowley, why don't you ride my white horse? And then they paid tribute to 93 throughout that week. This week, Thursday Night Football, the Cowboys became 9-3 on the eve of Crowley's death anniversary. Then we woke up to Sandra Day O'Connor dead at 93 on his death anniversary. But so far this week in the NFL, all the 93 stuff smashing. Yesterday, on Saturday, the 93 smashed in the NFL, or not in the NFL, but the NBA. Had a beautiful day in the NBA yesterday. The only game where the 93 didn't hit was in Dallas, where a 13 hit instead, and we called Dallas the 13 city, just like Dallas led off NFL Week 13. But yeah, that's why when people just like hit the snooze button on occult information, like, oh, that's nonsense, oh, that's overworld, oh, that's old superstition. It's like, okay, can you break out of your cultural programming and actually look at the world in the way it is and see if it's just old world and just nonsense? Or is it something that's being put in front of our face like literally every single day as we're obviously being mocked? Yeah, I'm tempted to, I'll do it in a separate video so we don't lose this live stream, but I'm tempted to just play the audio beginning of this movie, The Killer, so you can hear everything he says, because it's really like just listening to the Illuminati talk about the world and why they need to manage it the way they do and why killing people, it's not even that big of a deal. They must think that way about it, the way we're always uncovering all the dead bodies and rituals, you know. They know it has a psychological toll on the people they rule over, though. They know they've taught us underlings, if you will, to worship these people, and people do. And that's why a lot of people were distraught for a long time when Kobe died. And Kobe was a mega ritual, which is why they've been syncing up a million things with him since, including, no doubt, today. I mean, there's a reason there's no games on this Sunday 201 weeks later. It's not very often Sunday passes by and there's no games in the NBA. I can't even remember this. So, Let's see. Let me interact with the chat before we wrap it up. Does anybody else have any good observations? Does anybody else have any other good observations? Yeah, there's the rumor that Barbara Bush was Aleister Crowley's daughter, and again, they left the White House, the Bushes, in '93, and they did lose a child of their own back in the day in the '50s on the eve of Aleister Crowley's birthday. Yeah, Georgia Guidestones, exactly. Georgia Guidestones put up on 322. They came down on Bush's birthday. Skull and Bones member, Order 322. They came down 201 days after the Pope's birthday. Indeed. Yeah. 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 George Orwell, 1984. All it took was football, gambling, and beer to fill up the horizons of their minds. Yeah. That's the year LeBron was born, 84. LeBron's had a number of 201 rituals. Brady's had so many 201 rituals. Last Super Bowl, 201 passing yards in the box score. Married to Giselle, born on the 201st day of the year. ESPN's article about his 201st win over the St. Louis Rams. St. Louis University, the Jesuit school, credited with the first forward pass in football history. Rams with the Jewish 201 gematria. Oh, Miss Wendy says we should decode the UFC. Miss Wendy, I used to decode the UFC all the time, and a lot of people in the community still do. And we can decode it, but decoding the UFC is actually pretty damn simple. And Big Al, who I always love to bring up, Big Al's just that's where he's found his bread and butter. He just lives for Saturdays in the UFC, and he has good Saturdays a lot with his UFC picks. It's not much different decoding than anything else. And here, again, for people who don't support the Patreon, once upon a time, there was no Patreon, and I just put out everything for free. Just since we're talking basketball and Kobe, this is the way we decode the NBA. This is how you use the knowledge to take advantage of the game. So yesterday, there were 12 games in the NBA. And again, you can't pick every game. But what you try to do are find the best games and weigh the scales and make the smartest selections. So like in this Warriors-Clippers game yesterday, the date numerology was 3, right? You have all these paths, 3, 12, 21, 57. They all break down to 3. The lesser date numerology is 37. So in this game, the Clippers could stay on 3 home losses. They did. They ended up winning. Warriors can fall to 8-9 in conference. Los Angeles, California, 89. Clippers can become 8-8 in conference. California, 88. You got an all-California matchup. I don't normally look at things like that, but since it's an all-California matchup, it can matter in these situations. Clippers can stay on 57 home losses in series on 57 date numerology. So that's what happened. The Clippers, they prevailed there. The Timberwolves and the Hornets, the 3-date numerology would play in favor of Minnesota. They could stay on 3 road losses. The Hornets could stay on 3 home wins. Hornets could fall to 3-7 on 37-date numerology. Hornets would pick up their 3rd loss versus the West, which they did, and the Hornets could pick up their 12th loss of the year. Again, those are the date numerology paths, 3, 12, 57. So you have these things lining up in favor of Minnesota. The things to think twice about were on this side. But again, it did look like there was more weight for Minnesota. Minnesota prevailed in this game. The Magic and the Nets, again, it's Saturday, named after Saturn, and Saturn's the big 93 planet. It's a beautiful number on Saturdays again and again, especially when Saturnalia rolls around. We're almost a Saturnalia. One of the best days for a lot of people in this community in the whole last year was Saturnalia last year, and in the days of Saturnalia, just smashed with the rituals, especially the Jesuit schools. There were so many Jesuit upsets with 93. It was amazing. And again, you have to consider that Saturnalia begins on the first Jesuit Pope's birthday, Pope Francis as well. But on the Magic losing side, they could fall to 9-3, bit like 93. And so you have the Saturn 93 connection plus the 3-date numerology. The thing to think twice about was the Magic could have stayed on 3 road losses. But like I teach people, picking up is better than staying. Plus, you also had the Saturn piece if the Magic lost. And notice the Magic had a record 9-game winning streak. 9 is a number connected to completion. They came in against the Nets 9-9. So Magic did fall to 9-3 in that game. That was right. Cavs at Pistons. Cavs are big favorites here, but Cavs do like the number 63. They improved to 6 in 3 away. Cavaliers 63, 3-date numerology. Pistons got the 18th loss 18 days after King Charles's birthday. Again, those who fought for King Charles were Cavaliers. That's why King James won on the real, or LeBron won on the real King James's birthday for the Cavs when King James's son in history was King Charles. Remember the mega ritual they did with King Charles and his coronation last year on 5-6 when royal family's 56 and LeBron became 5-6 at home versus Curry in the playoffs. And it was you had the Kentucky Derby that day, which equals 56, and then you had Anthony Davis. It was 56 days after his birthday. He played at Kentucky. Who's the other Kentucky player on LA? He won last year and got his 56th win with the Lakers. But it was this huge 56 ritual on King Charles' coronation with the Lakers last year. So again, that's how you can see that they're literally syncing up these teams with things like the royal family, because these are all things on the Illuminati chessboard, and you see how the rituals move together when you pay attention. Doesn't mean you'll call every game right, but if you're aware of the knowledge, you can see the moves they're making. You're like, what a script we live in. What a joke this is. Pistons also lost their 17th straight in this game versus the 17th state. A lot of 17 rituals with Ohio. And, of course, NBA, we call it the 17 league. The Pacers and Heat game, these teams played back-to-back. I was leaning towards the Heat winning both. They won the first one and lost the second one. But it did look better for the Heat yesterday. So this was one of the games we missed. Heat had quite a few things that could have gone their way. Not shocked that we lost, though, because the Pacers did improve to 4 in 3 away, and Miami Heat's 43. But it did look better for the Heat, so that was a miss. And that's exactly why I teach people. You never bet the house. You just play small. Parlays to win big. You lose a little. You hit big. Again, it's a set of knowledge where you can play that way, and you just stick with it. You never bet bigger than your britches. You'll have fun. You'll multiply. You'll stay ahead of the curve. You might go on some droughts. I mean, there's been like a week where I'll have like a really mediocre / losing week for like 5-6 days in a row, but then boom, we get back into it. We're multiplying. We have 3 solid days. Boom, got everything back and more in the last 5 days. So anyhow, just never, as a gambler, you can never chase your debts. And again, I mean, if you're going to gamble, you might as well have as much knowledge and understand as much about the way the rig game there is, or the way it really is. And this is a big part of it. There are other parts to it, like Chris in our community calls in. He uses lines. Victor, he uses lines. They use the Gematria plus the lines, and they look for the best Gematria connection plus the best lines, and that's how they make their picks. But anyhow, again, New Orleans is the most occult city in America, and that is who just did that occult ritual with Aleister Crowley and Greg Popovich. Just think about that. If you've ever been to New Orleans, man, you go out to Jackson Square at night, there's like every occultist out there trying to do a tarot card reading and everything else. Perfect rituals and tribute. And again, New Orleans is France, where the Jesuits are from where the Scottish power, where the Scottish Rite came to power, where Aleister Crowley spent a lot of his life. Anyway, you look at this game. Pelicans, they can stay on 3 road wins. Bulls can get to 6-6 at home. Bulls 66. Bulls coach can stay on 137 losses with the team. Pelicans 137. If Pelicans lose next to it, would line up. So you have all those things on that side. You got 3 things on the other side to consider, but it looked a little bit better for a Bulls win. And those Bulls were dogs at home, so nice value. You could always take them with the points if you're worried about these 3 things over here. But again, the right side of the scale, Bulls did win in this game. The Hawks and the Bucks, it didn't really look like much was going for the Hawks in this one. Hawks could fall to 6-9 in conference. They did. Atlanta equals 69, so does Saturn. It's a Saturday ritual. Hawks can fall to 6-5 away before Philly. Philadelphia in 65 is this awesome pattern that just hits and hits and hits. And that's exactly what happened in that game. The Thunder and Mavericks. Dallas in 13 is just such a beautiful thing, and it always has been. And in a game like this, I mean, I have a feeling a lot of people didn't even play this game yesterday. But if a 13 ever does get beat in Dallas, there's a good reason. And it did not get beat yesterday. The Thunder picked up their 13th win in Dallas. Memphis just upset in Dallas with 13. Again, Dallas Cowboys just had the first game of week 13, and they won with 41 points, the 13th prime. Again, Dallas is the 41-13 city, just like LA is. And Dak got his 41st home win on Thursday. 41st home win. winning with 41 points on the anniversary of the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, number 41, who was a member of Skull and Bones, which is another 41. But Dallas, 41, the 13th prime. LA's the other 41-13 city, like Kobe dead at 41, Gianna at 13. So yeah, it had what made me think that maybe the 13 was going to get upset yesterday was the Mavs could pick up the 93rd win in the series, and 93 does play well on Saturday, but the 13 did prevail here. And so I would have, like, just looking at these games, I would have said that's probably the most dangerous game because it's hard to go against 93, but 13 in Dallas is also something you don't want to go against. And here, like today I what happened in this Colts game? This Colts-Titans game. So the Colts did win. The Colts prevailed, which is the way I ended up leaning because I know that there's a history of 13 with Indianapolis, especially when Andrew Luck was there. But I told people I wasn't crazy about this game. You might just want to skip it, but I was ever so slightly leaning Colts. And the reason that a game like this can be so challenging is because the Colts had the 13s in week 13 if they won, and they did. But there's a number that normally plays with the Titans, and it doesn't miss very often, but it did miss in this game. So it was like you had to fill it out that it might miss in this game. Titans equals 20. Had Minshew lost today, he would have got his 20th loss versus the Titans. Instead, he got the 13, and his team got to 7-5. And this was another reason that we decided to go this way. Remember, Indianapolis is 75, and Indianapolis Colts is 75. And the Colts, the other week, won in Germany. And on that day, it was the superior general, the leader of the Jesuits. It was his 75th birthday. Colts get the first win of the day in Germany, where the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria. Again, the Illuminati founded by a Jesuit. But the Colts got the first win of the day. Home teams went to 7-5 for the day. And then Russell Wilson, the 75th pick of the draft, won on Monday Night Football. And it's like last week. Last week was 11-26. And in the year 11-26, that's when the King of France financed the Templars. Last week, home teams went 6-5. A lot of 65 rituals in the NFL last week. Run it in reverse. Knights Templar is 7-9. Again, they went 6-5 on Sunday. And then that week ended with Monday Night Football. And the Vikings got upset. And home teams became 7-9 for the week. But this is how you can see year in and year out that they are paying tribute to history and dates. And it's mostly Catholic Church history. Like the Templars are the old military order of the church. And that's why in the Jesuit logo, you have the Templar cross. But here, coming back to basketball, Grizzlies and Suns. Suns can pick up the 12th win on the 12-date numerology yesterday. Suns can stay on 42 losses in series. Saturn and Arizona, 42. The game was in Arizona, so something like that can matter. The Suns can pick up the 37th home win in the series on 37-date numerology. Grizzlies can fall to 4-6 away. Phoenix, 46. I know we were just talking about this the other day with the ritual in the NBA and Walter Davis's death. The Phoenix Sun in 46 and on and on and on. So there's that 4-6. I told you just, a week ago, 46 plays hard in Phoenix. Grizzlies can fall to 5-11 in conference. In Jewish gematria, Saturn's 5-11. It doesn't come up every Saturday, but it did come up last week too, and it hit, and it'll come up throughout the season, the 5-11s. And so again, you got 5 or 6 things on the Suns side. You got 3 things to consider about on the Memphis side. It looks like more weight on the Suns side. Suns prevailed in that game. Blazers and Jazz. Jazz coach can pick up his 44th win. Portland and Rip City, 44. He can also stay on 58 losses in Utah, where Utah is 58. And then the Jazz can become 6-4 at home, which corresponds with their stadium name, Delta Center, 64. Jazz can stay on 93 losses in series. Saturn, 93. Jazz coach can get 44th win. Portland, 44. Blazers can get 3rd win in conference on the I must have typed that backwards. I got dyslexic with that. Sometimes I'll do that in my notes, and then you just look and you're like, oh, Zach meant to write this. But all these things, if the Blazers lose the next 2, they'll have the right record versus the Warriors. If the Jazz don't lose, they'll stay on 13 losses before playing Dallas. So see how they're going to go into Dallas with those 13 losses. So there were some things to think about on the Blazers side, but still more on the Jazz side. And also looking at the games ahead makes a little bit sense for where you're going to. So, but yeah, for all the people who say, well, why can't you pick every game? I mean, some games, there's decent narratives on both sides. Some games look like one-way street. So far in these notes we've gone through, there's been 2 games where I only had notes for one side, and both those games it came through. It wouldn't be. It's happened to me before though, where I have everything for one side and then it loses. Doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it does, and you're like, "What the hell?" But it's also possible to not be aware of something, like to miss the narrative, to not know the historical piece. Somebody who's really good at this in this community, they're older. They learn from me, but they're 20 years older than me, so they have even more sports knowledge and trivia in their head. They know more about history, and it shows because they do a great job with their connections. Um, but yeah, I also noticed that person is also just like a typical human being. They can't give credit where it's due. And even though they learned from me and now I've created a new career path for them, that they still act like a hater. And it's just like, God, what is wrong with people, man? Never even done anything to you besides promote you. People are crazy. But yeah, and then the Rockets and Lakers game. Notice the Lakers also looking at that 12th win on the 12 date numerology. Lakers can pick up 12th win. Lakers can improve to 9-6 in conference, where Lakers and LeBron's 96. Rockets can fall to 8-9. Los Angeles, California, 89. That same pattern played in the other LA game in the day with the Warriors. Rockets can lose third straight. 3-date numerology. Today's a span of 201 weeks since Kobe's death, I wrote. 129 is 201 in base 8 counting. Lakers can become 12-9. They would become 8-2 at home, where Bryant and Game are 82. Of course, there's an 82 game season in the NBA. So, and again, on the other side, there are things to consider, but heavier side of the narrative. You just went with the heavier side of the narrative, seemingly, at least the way I saw it. 10-2, not a bad day. And Saturday, I've been loving Saturdays in the NBA for a long time because the Saturn things make it one of the easier days of the week to call games because the way the Saturn patterns come up. And then sometimes it can be like, oh shoot, because like if it wasn't the Dallas game would have been a pretty easy call, honestly, if it wasn't on the Saturn day. That's where, just like I was explaining, you had to choose between the 93 Saturn or the 13 Dallas. And like I say, sometimes you don't just don't play the game. It's just better to just leave the game alone because it's tricky. But yeah, I always get annoyed when people are like, "Oh, well, if you know gematria, you should be able to pick every game right." It's just like, okay, you say that because you don't understand anything, because you haven't taken the time to use the knowledge and see what it looks like. And again, you do take the time to learn the knowledge. You learn what patterns are the most consistent too, and the ones that when they come up, you're like, okay, that's what I've been waiting for. That's my favorite one right there. So, um, and yeah, again, you guys, if there are trolls in the chat, you can just block them yourself. You just click and then click mute. You're your own moderator. So if somebody's spamming away or trolling away, or you don't like them or you don't want to read their comments, you can block them. Again, the reason I got rid of mods is because mods kept blocking people that didn't need to get blocked. So, um, oh, I'm not giving out any NFL advice for this week. I told my community this week that it was going to be a tough NFL week. The way they did this week, it's like they had the consistent numbers on one side and the 13s on another, and in every, it's just and so far it's been a very mediocre morning in the NFL, which I'm not shocked about. But yeah, you don't want my NFL advice this week, so. And for all of you guys who are not on the live streams, again, you do get more information on the live streams because obviously we're talking about things and putting out advice and strategy. But you could even see in my NFL notes this week just how evenly stacked like almost every game was. It was like, So, and that's the nice thing too. I mean, when you use the knowledge, you know what to look for, and you know probably also when to take a pass. Okay, my favorite pattern's up. That's one I'm willing to invest in. Oh, these games are iffy. Maybe I'm just gonna sit back and see if I can learn something this weekend. So, yeah, exactly. Open up. You don't need to bet every week. Neo. When I was coming on, when I was in my YouTube studio, just before I got on here, your comment was up at the top of my thing, and you were talking about something about history with the Nazis and the church and the 201st day of the year. Shoot, I got to go back and now that I go back there, it doesn't show it right now. Why does it not show it now? Maybe they scrubbed your comment. Maybe it sat up there too long. They're like, that comment needs to go. Um, all right, I found it. Here we go. Neo the Hacker. He says there's something called the Reichskondor, or I don't even know how to say it, some German word. It was a treaty between the Vatican and Nazi Germany signed right before World War II, pretty much solidifying their alliance. He says what's interesting is it was signed July 20th, 1933, the 201st day of the year. So, yeah, there it is. I don't think I did know about that before. If somebody did tell me in the past, I let it slip through the cracks. But remember, Adolphus Hitler, the way it's spelled on his birth certificate, also equals 201. And who got him all that money? Who financed that military? How was it even possible when Germany was broke from World War I and made to pay reparations? I see. They say it ended. Oh, so that's what the critics would say. They'd be like, "Well, it can't matter because it ended on September 10th, 33." Like, oh yeah, I'm sure it ended. I'm sure it ended. Isn't that 52 days later? Like Pope is 52. Hold on, let me check that out real quick. Is that 52 days later? I think it is. July 20th, 1933 to September 10th, 1933. Oh yeah, 52 days later. It's like they're playing cards. Playing cards with the Pope. Remember, Pope equals 52 in Gematria, 52-week year named after the Pope. So, yeah, great research again, Neo. Glad you're back, at least hanging around in the comments, leaving great finds. Can't wait for the YouTube channel to come back. Boss Man says he just learned about Gematria and was told to look at your stuff, said the outcome was 6 games and 1 all. Well, congrats, man. He must not be talking about the NFL this week because I know that wouldn't have happened with my NFL information this weekend, but perhaps with basketball yesterday. We've been having a lot of good days with hoops. And we had been doing well 3 out of the last 4 weeks in the NFL, but I knew this week was, ugh. You could just see it on the walls like, man, they made this week hard as hell. I used to really love NFL Week 13 too. So, anyway, we'll leave it there for now. Again, if you do want to support the work and you want to participate in weekly live streams and get the notes and content each day before the games, it is on Patreon. It's $5 a month, gets you all the written content, which is daily content. $11 a month gets you all the written content plus all the live streams. And the live streams can be helpful because sometimes there's good calls. And also you can just hear like the things I'm thinking. Like if you're looking at the notes and like, well, what do you exactly think of this game? You could actually hear me in the live stream say exactly what I think about that game. But I do also feel like by looking at the notes, if you're just going like, okay, this looks a lot more biased. And yeah, there is that number again that hits so often. So anyway. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. Shout out to King Ali, who became a YouTube member. I appreciate it. Nick Saban, Catholic. Yeah. I have an old post. Here, I'll tell you one more thing before I get off here. Let's just go back and find this old post about Nick Saban's father. Let's see. So look at this. This post is from my old website in 2017, December 28th. So it's going to turn 6 years old next month. But they talk. This story is about how his father died 44 years. See how it says nearly 45 years? So it's 44 years and change. Here, let's just go back and read this. West Virginia. He found the 5 garages nearly 45 years ago, tucked behind old houses on a stretch of Miners Row. 5 garages packed floor to ceiling with what appeared to be useless. What just happened? Useless throwaways to just about everyone else, but would come to mean everything to the young man who had just driven home to bury his father. No one knew about the garages and what his father had stored in them, Alabama coach Nick Saban says now, but he was determined to find out. Times were tough in the early 1970s in those small mining towns up and down State Road 218. Remember, 218 is a special number. Holy Roman Empire equals 218, and it supposedly ended August 6th, 1806, the 218th day of the year. There's a reason they keep sending out those presidential alerts at 218. And remember, from this knowledge, go watch the video we put out October 4th about the 218 emergency alert. We showed what it meant for October 7th and to look for some kind of terrorism, 9/11 type of event again. And then sure enough, they said Israel's 9/11 came that day. All from understanding this knowledge and understanding who the cabal is and what these numbers mean. But anyhow, this story is about the death of his father. And I actually don't want to read the whole article. But the point is, the funeral mass 44 years ago, and he lost his father when he was 46. So it's right there in those paragraphs. And think about how often we're talking about those numbers in death. Again, Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. Sacrifice equals 46. Remember what they did to Coolio in 2022? He died on the 46th anniversary of Stevie Wonder's Pastime Paradise coming out, which is the sample for Gangsta's Paradise. And then on April 6th, 4/6, they put out Coolio's Cause of Death. And Michael K. Williams, the actor who was also in a similar ritual. And then with regards to 44, of course, kills 44. So kill 44. Words like execution. Execution is 44 forwards, 46 in reverse. Fateful numbers. So many of these people that are large and in charge on the world stage, they did lose their fathers at young ages. And you almost wonder, at least one of my theories with why so many of these people that are in high places never had a father or lost their father at a young age is because these people, for whatever reason, were chosen by the Illuminati and they didn't want a father figure in their life that could possibly, lead them a different direction. Like, they've chosen these people to be major manipulators on the world stage. These people are going to have a major impact in people's lives and their energy levels. And again, whether you're in elected office like an Obama or you're Nick Saban on the football field, again, I mean, these games have a huge impact on people's lives. People make their lives all about this because of the culture. So, yeah, again, we've been here for all people don't understand how we know everything as well as we do is because I've been here every day for over a decade just documenting this stuff, just keeping up on top of the stories, documenting. And some people always say, like, man, I don't know how you remember everything. I don't. If I had to go back through everything I've documented, I probably remember, like, if I'm lucky, I might remember 5% of everything I've ever written about and documented. But again, 5% is a lot when you've documented a gazillion things. So I wish I could remember everything. Then I don't think we'd have any skeptics. Just old posts here, just always talking about Alabama in 13 and Nick Saban 169, square root of 13. Spell out 13 as a word is 45. Nicholas is 45. Alabama just going over their wins over the years. Just same numbers again and again. Alabama losing with 31. Yeah, there's so, if you go back to the old site, there's so many rituals from the past just documented. Oh, by the way, the whole thing with Aflac being 68 years old and now today, the 337th day of the year, the 68th prime, again, that is a big championship number too. So the Aflac company being 68 and being used as the clue for the championship this year. And isn't it funny? We're talking about the same. Now we're back in the same stadium. This is an old post on Nick Saban in this stadium and the ritual going down there, and then how they did the same thing with Belichick. But this is 2018, right? Now it's 2023. It's 5 years later, and Nick Saban's getting his 206th career win in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Again, a magic number. And my first book, Letters and Numbers, talk about 26 and 206 in the first chapter, about how 26 connects language to the stars above, to human anatomy and bones, and why we call people stars like Kobe and Jordan. That's all in the first chapter of my book from 2017, way before Kobe died on the 26th day of the year. But Bryant 26 like Jordan. And again, bones, the plural's 26. They say we're made out of stardust. The zodiac, it does the full circle every 26,000 years. And I'm forgetting all kinds of things right now. But of course, letters 26, like the 26-letter alphabet. And yeah, I should go back and read the first chapter of my book about 26 and 206. And of course, Adam equals 26 and God equals 26. And then the 26th verse of the Bible, God makes man in Genesis 1:26, like Kobe Bryant's date of death, 1:26. So on a Sunday, to remind that it's all biblical. Okay. But yeah, like I said, I mean, you can just keep going on and on and on and on and on forever. Here, before I sign off, let me make sure nothing else is happening in the world. Florida State getting snubbed. I think Seminoles. Is Seminoles 130? Is that what it is? No. Is it Florida State? I'm pretty sure they have some 130 connection. Florida State's 130. They went 13-0, just like Washington's 130. You went 13-0 this year. And obviously, these teams aren't going to go 13-0 each year, but Washington makes it. Florida State doesn't. Deion Sanders, old school, doing the ads with Nick Saban all year. God, you know, I mean, just the huge focus on Taylor Swift is just so annoying too. I mean, CNN, like almost every day for this NFL season. Remember how this NFL season began with the story of Aaron Rodgers dancing to Taylor Swift at her concert before the whole Swift and Kelsey thing began? And then there is a Swift and a Kelsey that play on Philly. And this season began with Detroit beating Kansas City, and Swift had gone from Detroit to Philly. But all year, they just keep, I mean, it just won't stop. Like, this is news. You're losing me by Taylor Swift can apparently save your life. I mean, these are the same networks that want to tell you everything you need to be doing with your life. This supposedly they're the most serious source of information that has everything that's vital to you. And just this whole year just has to be about Taylor Swift. And remember, Taylor Allison Swift, her full name, 104. She's part of the NFL season for its 104th season. You see how Templars 104? They're saying Aaron Rodgers wants to come back December 24th, 104 days after his injury, and go back and look at his injury. You'll see they stopped the clock at 11:19. Well, what organization was founded in the year 11:19? What year were the Templars established? It says 11:18. That's weird. That's not the typical answer. That's Google. That's now around 11:18. Okay. Knights Templar's always been 11:19. World History Encyclopedia 11:19. See, this is what I hate about this computer internet age where everyone looks things up on their phone. It's like it's just like how Google changed the height of the Pentagon, even though that if you actually go to the website, the government website, you see that Google's new height for the Pentagon is not true. And that happened back when we used to have viral videos about Flight 77 hitting the 77-foot tall Pentagon. Then all of a sudden, one of those videos finally gets over 500,000 views, and the next thing you know, Google has a new height for the Pentagon when you do the search. But yeah, the Templars, I mean, all history books are always 11:19. It's not 11:18. I don't know what this new crap is. But, and then 11:26 is the year they got funded. So that's why they're doing Templar rituals this year, too, in the 104th NFL season. Just always paying tribute to history. Well, how's Aaron Rodgers? And remember, Twin Towers is another 104. You remember Aaron Rodgers went down on September 11th, right? September 11th, the anniversary, the big storyline. He goes down. And remember, 2 towers became 0 before they became 1. The Twin Towers became 0 towers. Then they became One World Trade Center. One World Trade Center 93, like the 93 World Trade Center bombing, like Order of Illuminati's 93 and 201. The Jesuit motto, both into one. Aaron Charles Rodgers playing across the river from New York and New Jersey in the 201 area code where St. Peter's is. Remember the Peacocks that got their last big win as the Cinderella story on Peacock Day. And then their most famous player, Delnardo Webster, dropped dead a year to the day of another Jesuit-educated player, Elgin Baylor, right before Baylor beat the Jesuit school Gonzaga 201 days after Elgin Baylor's birthday. But you see how Aaron Charles Rodgers, 201? And remember, he's playing for the Packers, founded by the Jesuit Vince Lombardi, who died unexpectedly at Jesuit Georgetown, where the motto is both into one. You see how Aaron Charles Rodgers also 312? You see how Jorge Mario Bergoglio, that's Pope Francis, is also 201 and 312, just like Aaron Charles Rodgers. And again, Pope Francis, he's the first Jesuit Pope, and he's the first to live in Suite 201, which is called the Domus Sancte Marte, which is 201 and 312 in reverse. And again, today's date can be written 3/12. Again, Pope Francis is Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Kobe's death was synced with the Pope. It's 201 weeks later. It's 312. Now this thing happening with Alabama when Kobe's death again was connected to the Alabama coach Bear Bryant. And again, Alabama has the 2-all-1 and 56. Knows how Catholic Pope is 2-all-1 and knows how Pope alone is 56. So again, it all circles back, to the church and the calendar and it being named after the Pope. Members of KISS say goodbye at final concert, but their digital avatars will keep touring. That weird story in Buffalo at the U.S.-Canada crossing for Thanksgiving. The big part of the story is the people who crashed were like trying to go to a KISS concert, and KISS has always been associated with like the Satanic, that band. If you're not familiar. 4 dead and 3 injured and suspect dead in Queens stabbing and fire. Just reminds me that the Queen died 201 days after her COVID diagnosis. And then you had the Kings Road killings last year on King Charles' birthday. And they had to tell you the killer lived in apartment 201. And again, on and on and on. So look at all the news, you guys. This is the news in the world. Let me read these headlines. This is the news in the world. And we're always saying there's a fine line between the news and Hollywood. Look at these news stories. Supernatural actor Mark Shepard recovering from heart attack. Okay. See how SNL had fun with George Santos getting kicked out of Congress. You're Losing Me by Taylor Swift can apparently save your life. Members of KISS say goodbye at final concert, but their digital avatars will keep touring. I mean, does this seem like the news is supposed to like be the thing that gives us the information to live in a democracy and make informed decisions so that we can have a better life? But this is what our news is, just crap every day. And normally it's not this much entertainment. Normally it's just needless fear-mongering and made-up stuff that didn't even happen to take away your rights and liberties, contrived by intelligence agencies. But then it goes on after that. Hear Henry Winkler perform as the Fonz nearly 40 years after Happy Days. In May-December, Natalie Portman undergoes an unsettling transformation. Opinion. Taylor Swift has it. Elon Musk and George Santos don't. Filmmakers make surprising discovery at the bottom of Lake Huron. Mouth-watering tamale recipes you can and should make at home. You think if the news cycle's this slow that it has to be all entertainment, when are they going to cover Gematria? I mean, isn't this newsworthy to the world? Isn't this information we're putting out, isn't it newsworthy? Remember, even Final Jeopardy's doing Gematria now. Here, let's see if it's the same over on Fox News right now. U.S. warship shoots down 3 drones targeting commercial vessels in Red Sea. War on the water. It could be like the U.S. military just flying their own drones out there just to create the news story. Paint a China flag on it. Oh, the Texans got a win today, and it was politics, huh? Texans rookie C.J. Stroud's cleats advocate for prison reform. His father serves lengthy sentence. Where Johnny Cash was, right? That's where the entertainers go. I don't know what to say about 38 years in prison. There's probably something to it. Oh, they were Jordans. Free pops. Gold and black. Looks like they were made for a Saints player. Interesting. Gold has that Gematria 38, like we're talking about the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl hosted by the 49ers, won by the 38th state on the 38th day of the year over the 38th team, the Panthers. I mean, 38 to life, right? We know 38 is a number highly connected to death. Having your life spent in a cage might be the only thing that's worse. Having your life taken early. I mean, there's actually a debate that made to live 38 to the rest of your life in a cage. You can make an argument that's even worse. And that's a common situation for people who have a darker complexion in a nation run by occultist sociopaths who have whitewashed history, you know. So anyway, yeah, that's true. That's true. Right after Bush's death anniversary, which yeah, that's true. That's very true. hmm Shout out to Chris Smith. He says, "Yo, had some organic gematria manifest with the number 10 and played some good tickets. Turned 10 into 100 twice. So here's a $10 tip." Hey, I appreciate you keeping it very 10. Congrats to you, Chris Smith. Thank you very much. Uh, Open Up said he turned 5 into 50 today, thanks to the knowledge. James, we did like James Conner for the touchdown today. You guys think about it. James Conner was the story in the NFL about surviving cancer, and he used to play for the Steelers. Now he plays for the Cardinals. That was Super Bowl 43 today. Look what happened in that game. The 4-3 on the surface did hit. That's what made this game tricky right here. Niners are up 21-6 on the Eagles. I like it. Hold on, let me get this game up here. You see how the Steelers fell to 4-3 at home? Super Bowl 43, they beat the Cardinals in. And what was tricky about this game is they could have got to 8-4, Arizona's 84, or they could have fallen to 7-5, where Arizona Cardinals is 75. And the Steelers did just do an 84 thing recently after the death of Patrick Rooney. There's been a number of Rooneys who've died at age 84. Remember, they're a Jesuit family. Jesuits 84. But the superior general, their leader, is 75 right now. So it's like, okay, so that's where you can make the argument with the 84 and 75, and the 4-3 was there. And that is the way this game went. Cardinals beat the Steelers, and Falcons win with 13 in week 13. I don't know what to say about the Cardinals-Steelers score, honestly, of 24-10, 34 points. I don't have anything for that right now. There might be something to that, though. But yeah, we thought the running back for the Cardinals, we saw his next touchdown was 47, that very symbolic number. What is 47, the high ritual number? So we're like, this makes sense because he's a feel-good NFL story, playing his old team, can get the 47th win. Here, the Chargers, just to give you guys a freebie to think about. We thought the Chargers would prevail today. This one was close as well. But the Chargers' very next road loss is their 271st of their franchise, which is the 58th prime, and you would never guess where their next road game is. It might be in the stadium hosting Super Bowl 58. So we thought, we're anticipating, we'll decode that game more when it comes, but we said that might make more sense for them to get the 271st road loss in that type of ritual, paying tribute to the Super Bowl number this year. And they also did come in with 269 points scored on the season, which is the 57th prime. Like Reed got his 269th career win last year in Super Bowl 57, but they did improve to 5-7. We knew 9-3 could be a big pattern this week. Lions and Saints game was tricky though, but like I said, there should be a card with the 9-3s because that could be, if you played the 93s this morning, you're happy. The whole Aleister Crowley ritual. But there was a decent argument on both sides of this game. Very difficult week again this week in terms of the way the numbers fell. But I bet there is a reason that Cardinals won 24-10. Have to go back and look at like the all-time scoring. It's always a math ritual, really. Dolphins, another team that got to 9-3. They won with their classic 45. Miami is 45. Miami's also 36. Ron Rivera got his 36th loss today with Washington. I thought the Washington was worth $1 parlay. Didn't think they would win, but worth $1 parlay because Miami in 27 does play hard, and had Rivera one day, would have got his 27th win. So it was possible, but again, Miami had. Notice Washington fell to 4-9, Washington 49, and the Dolphins became 4-3 away, and then hit the 9-3 thing. But yeah, and then the Texans and Broncos also. Another difficult game, but I had the wrong lean on that game as well today. I thought Russell Wilson, since he had the 75 magic and was the 75th pick, he might be the guy to get his team to 7-5 today. But yeah, there was major conflict in today's games, and that's why I told people, I said today is the day to choke up on the bat and just find some things that make a lot of sense. Maybe just one straight bet, 2-teamer parlay, James Conner touchdown type of day. So. We'll see. Eagles trailing the Niners. And see, this is a game that I'd love to see the way the money was bet in Vegas on this 49ers Eagles game, and we'll see what happens by the end. But again, plenty of game left. Anything can still happen. It's just what was interesting about this game is Las Vegas made the 49ers the favorite in this game. The 49ers were favored to win the game despite being 8-3, where the Eagles are 10-1. And again, the Eagles love being 10-1. They just love that number in Philly. Philadelphia's 101. But it's just like, in what world are the Eagles at home with the best record in the league an underdog? I mean, like, they won against the 49ers last year, the defending NFC champions. Like, how? How are the 49ers the favorite team? So a lot of gamblers, they'll look at that and they'll be like, because they don't think the game's rigged. They're like, okay, if Vegas is going to pay me more money for an Eagles win today, I'm taking the Eagles at home. That's what gamblers are thinking. And again, it's just like these people are casting lines with big bait for the gamblers. They know how to suck them in. Oh, we're going to reel in the Bucks on this one today. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, they also do things like that to play with gamblers' heads because, like, more savvy gamblers are like, well, wait a minute, what are they trying to do here? Is this like some mind manipulation to keep me? But yeah, that's another game where 9-3 can potentially play. And of course, Philadelphia Eagles does equal 93. So look, in this week of Aleister Crowley's death anniversary, the man who worshipped 93, the Cowboys became 9-3. They play the Eagles next. So they'll go into the Eagles game 9-3. Of course, we know the 49ers have a chance to become 9-3 today if they prevail. But the Dolphins were another team that could become 9-3. They did. The Lions were a team that could become 9-3 today. They did. And, Sunday night football, that pattern will also be there. But it remains to be seen how many of the teams with the 93 on the board are going to hit it. And then notice that in Monday night football, it's also a potential outcome. So oftentimes there are big league-wide rituals, but so often when there is a league-wide ritual like a 93 pattern throughout the league, sometimes it'll be perfect, but usually, like these league-wide patterns, it'll usually miss in one game. And that's where you got to think twice. And well, yeah, again, it's not an accident that this 9-3 stuff is happening in Crowley week, just like it's not an accident that the NFL week with his birthday they also contributed. Okay. Okay. Well, shout out to Chris again, Chris Smith, and shout out to Open Up. Congrats on the wins. If you win on a week like this, man, you're doing good with the knowledge because this is a very challenging week. That's interesting. United Sports Decode. Okay, 53. Greenlaw from 49ers just got kicked out. I'll have to look up who Greenlaw is. It just reminds me of the whole like Green New Deal type of thing. Yep, yep. Ozzy Osbourne, definitely a 201. And let's not forget, he was touring with Metallica when their bassist died on the Jesuit Order anniversary recognition date. And let's not forget what happened to Meatloaf. Meatloaf just died in the 201 ritual, and his death was Ozzy Osbourne and Meatloaf connected to the bat, and Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off the bat, and that was in the time of COVID when they were blaming the thing on a bat. Simulated with Event 201. Okay, we'll leave it there for now. Again, thank you to everyone who supports the work. You want to join us on Patreon? The links to subscribe are in the description of every video. And again, if we can get the support back up, it'll help me get back on the road and pounding pavement and traveling and doing things that we really do need to do. Because it is important that we share this information out in the streets of America besides just online with a different audience. And it's also a good opportunity to test the information you're sharing and see how people resonate because you can see in real time, like, okay, that made people stop on their tracks. Oh, look at that! I got people turning their heads on every corner right now. That line. So again, that for the truth seekers and truth speakers, that's another thing that needs to be figured out and achieved is how how do we get these sleeping masses to snap out of it? How do we get them to stop marching into the stadium for the rigged football game week after week? I mean, I'm always talking about, like, imagine if we had the financial support. I mean, imagine if everybody didn't imagine if all these fans that are getting manipulated are like, "You know what I'm gonna do instead of give my money to the stadium this week? I'm gonna send it to this movement and help this thing just take off." I mean, in 1 week, imagine you couldn't even count that amount of money. I mean, you'd be a 100 millionaire if everybody stopped going to the stadium and sent their money to Gematria Effect News for just 1 weekend. Just think about that. That's how much of the humanity's wealth is just getting siphoned up by this Illuminati cabal that controls all these leagues every single week, sucking up people's wealth, you know? And it's not going to help anything. It's going to be probably the next expense again, they have all the resources. People are like, how do they cover up all the stuff they do? They're paying off the whole world. Corrupt cops, corrupt journalists, corruption everywhere. And everyone's being controlled. Almighty dollar. Need to turn their dollars on them. Instead of people spending on the things they want to spend it on, we need them to finance the things that need to be financed. Like a massive truth seeker campaign to wake up the world. But anyway, thank you to everyone who sort of helps us achieve the dream. We're on the path, but we've got a long way to go. And yeah, the NFL is a non-profit organization. I'm sure. I'm sure it's a non-profit organization. Uh, I'm sure these owners aren't making a killing. Yeah, entertainment does rule minds. And again, that's what every single headline is entertainment. All right, yeah, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker.